כמו שאמרתי, נתחיל בהרצאה של פרופסור טליה מירון שץ. כמה מילים עלייך, אני מקווה לעשות את זה מספיק טוב. מומחית לפסיכולוגיה וכלכלה התנהגותית, חוקרת, יועצת לחברות בתחום הבריאות, בנושאי שינוי התנהגות מטופלים וחולים, וגם אנשי מקצוע. באופן אישי אני אגיד, אדם סופר מרתק, ואני מקווה שתהנו, חשיפה לתחום חדש. טליה, בבקשה.
אוקיי, בכלל לא יצר סף ציפיות גבוה, זה בסדר. זה הזמן להגיד ממש תודה, תודה לעדי, תודה לטליה, תודה למילה, תודה לרחל, פשוט תענוג לעבוד איתכן, כיף להיות פה, תודה לכל מי שבא. זה לא באתם רק בגלל הפיצה, אני מקווה, ואם כן, לא נורא. אז אני אדבר באנגלית, כי הזמנתי כמה אורחים שמדברים אנגלית. So let's get started. So my name is Talya Miron Shatz, and I study medical decision making. The title of my talk today is Making Responsible Health Decisions. Whose responsibility is it? That's me. That's my background. I have a PhD in psychology. I did my postdoc at Princeton University with Daniel Kahneman. Maybe you've read his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. If you haven't, you should. I did my postdoc with him. I taught at Wharton. I was a visiting researcher at Cambridge, a lot of academic experience with over 60 academic papers and a book that I recently wrote and I'm very proud of. I also have a lot of industry experience because I think all this knowledge has to go into practice. So I've worked with numerous companies. These are just a few of them, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. They're obviously among the biggest ones, but also Samsung, Nantmobile, and any startup you can think of and any health advertiser you can think of, always trying to drive behavior change, whether it's prescriber behavior or patient behavior. And here's the question. How can we help people change their behavior and their health, really improve their health? So the first question that arises is, it's their health. Why do I need to help them with it? Don't they want to be healthy? Shouldn't they be doing all the work? Why do I need to be involved? The second question is, since they're actually not great at it, and neither are we, all of us, I'll demonstrate in a minute, and that's okay, we're human, that's probably kind of to be expected. How can we help? And is it legitimate to interfere? I'll really touch upon that very quickly at the end. So it's their own health. Why don't they take better care of it? Because it seems that even our best intentions don't always happen, don't always get us where we want to be with our health. Let's demonstrate, right? Before we demonstrate, I'll explain. And I said I come from psychology, and there are a number of tools, a number of ways of looking at our behavior that I think help, because then when we want people to overcome these barriers, we need to know what we're up against. It's not just, let's set a reminder. So for starters, we have an attitude behavior gap or value action problem, however you want to call it. A gap between what we think we'll do, we think we need, we think we should do, and what we actually do. Let's try. Put your right hand in the air, please. Come on, everybody. You had pizza, you can do it. Keep it up. If you've been sleeping all the amount of hours you have to sleep last week, thank you. Keep it up if you've been eating nutritious food the way you should be doing and not too much of it. Keep it up if you've not been consuming too much alcohol. By too much, I mean, keep it up. If you put it down, it's down. It's down. That you can't, no going back. More than 2 alcohol units a day per man and 1 for a woman. Keep it up if you exercise at least 150 minutes a week, like the WHO tells you to. 150 minutes a week. Keep it up if you need to take medication and you take it all the time, every time. And also keep it up if you've been really, really good with everything else that I can't put on the board because it's a respectable meeting. But, you know, we have one tzaddik, right? We have one. Yes, amazing. We have one person. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for proving my point in this room full of super intelligent people who came to a meetup that deals with health and took their time and their evening to talk about it. Yes, we all have the attitude behavior gap. Thank you. We have it when we go to a hotel and we say we care about the environment, but oh, the towels are so nice. Let me put just another one on. It's just so much fun. That's us. That's the human race. Why does it happen? For a number of reasons. One is cognitive misery. קמצנות מחשבתית. סבבה? We like to keep these little brain cells. We like to keep them. We don't want to use them too much. We don't want to work too hard. You're laughing, but it's human. Yeah, I'm the same way. I tell my students, you're lazy. They're like, what? We're all lazy. Relax. It's fine. We like not to spend too much cognitive effort. We like things to be easy on our mind. That's the first reason. The second reason sounds very intelligent. Hyperbolic discounting. What does it mean? I can't even translate it to Hebrew. What it means is the thing in front of us is big and fun and exciting. And the thing over there that's distant, we don't really care about it. If the thing that I have in front of me, something I want to buy, and the distant thing is my pension, you can see where that would get me. And in fact, I didn't know what we would be having today, but if you want to eat healthy, but there's pizza, then you say, oh, yummy, and it's hot. It's here, right? And I'll eat healthier food later sometime in the future because the benefit doesn't seem quite as salient as the benefit of the pizza. So an immediate profit, however small, feels bigger than a later profit. We want to do what feels good now, feels good. We work with our heart more so than we work with our brain, regardless of how intelligent we are. The third reason is ego depletion. Just התרוקנות של משאבי האגו, not ego in the sense that I'm the biggest person in the world, just the sense that this is the part of my psyche that organizes me, that helps me control myself. And at the end of the day or after a difficult task, I'm like, whatever. And that's maybe when we do the dumbest things we do because we can't control ourselves anymore. The fourth reason why we have this gap between our behavior and our values is accessibility. Sometimes we want to do something, but it's not very accessible to us. The example I gave here is not funny. It's really sad. It's people who have tuberculosis, shechefet, in Africa. They need to go to the clinic to get their medication. They don't want to because usually people who go to the clinic have HIV and then it's stigmatized. So what do? You want your medication. You don't want to be stigmatized. You have an accessibility problem. You don't have a knowledge problem. You just have a problem and a barrier that needs to be solved. How can we help? How can we influence behavior? There's a small magic trick that I'll introduce. It's a small change to a context that has a big impact. For example, what we can do is introduce a nudge, and a nudge is something we'll talk about a lot today. Nudges are like very small pushes, tiny pushes. Like if there was pizza and a salad and you knew I already had 2 slices and you're a good friend, you'd say, here's a salad, Talya. And I could say, I don't care. It's a small push. It's a friendly push, but it's a push in the right direction for you. Not because my friend wants to have the pizza instead of me, because my friend wants to help me. So we can make changes to context. This is a great example that I've not seen in action because I don't use the men's restroom. It's from the restroom in Schiphol. They put a picture of a fly on the urinal and guys take aim, I am told.
Stadium, they have a small goal.
Sorry?
In football stadium, they have a small goal.
Amazing, amazing. Next time I go to the Mundial, I'll check out the men's urinals. So it reduces spillage. It reduces the amount of dirt on the floor by 8%. That's a good thing to remember because this slide is amazing and everybody uses it. 8% is fine. It's not a huge number. It's not a huge amount. This is a stairway that if you use it, becomes musical. It's like, you become a pianist. So you use that rather than taking the escalator, and it really increases the use of the stairs by 66%. These things are very, very cool. You add a tiny perk, you refocus people's attention, and you make a big difference. Sounds fantastic. The fantastic is going to end soon, but let's enjoy it while it lasts, right? So with food labels, Israel started doing it a few years ago, and obviously we have all the information. We know everything that needs to be known. It's over there on the bag of the tapu chips or the bamba or whatever it is, and you can read it, but we're cognitive misers. Remember, we're lazy. So when they put up a big sticker that says high on sugar, I look at it and I say, maybe not a good idea. I could read and I could figure it out, but if you put the label, it helps, and it helps reduce the caloric content by 6.6%, the fat intake by 10%, increases the vegetable consumption by 13%. This is great because it helps me see the information and act in the moment. That's great, even though the information was already there. What about New York City? If you've recently been, even not so recently, the city introduced 1,000 food carts, green carts, for people, especially in the poorer neighborhoods who don't have access to fruit and vegetables. So here's the green cart. And when I was stuck in Harlem on a tour waiting for the tour guide, I could have 2 bananas. I didn't have to go to the local pizzeria or bodega and buy something unhealthy. It's there. If it's there, people will use it. If they have money, they're more likely to use it because they can afford to buy the fruit and vegetables, even though they're not so expensive. So we can increase consumption of fruit and vegetables, not by educating people, by just giving it to them, putting it out there, putting it close to them. So when you make the choice a little bit more accessible, you make a big difference. And I said it was cool and I said it was fantastic, but I also said the fantastic part is going to end, because how does all this translate to chronic disease? Where's the fun stuff? Where's the cool label that tells me high sugar content and I walk away from it? Where are the bananas that just show up there and I can have them? Where's the immediate reward? I don't know. Remember hyperbolic discounting? Remember great health? It's there. It's far. It's not right here. It's not staring me in the face. So what do we do when we need people to manage themselves? And novelty, new things, they wear off. We grow tired of them. They're not new anymore. And then they're not working on us anymore. So how does this translate to chronic disease management? Not well. Does not translate well, not unless you do it very smartly. So these are really not pretty slides. I know, don't have to come to me after the talk and say your slides aren't pretty. They're not pretty because the reality is not pretty. And I wanted to put up a lot of information there. So when you look at randomized controlled trials of chronic disease self-management interventions from multiple systematic reviews, you look and find out that self-management is really the way to improve quality of life and reduce utilization of health services across several conditions. Amazing. Self-management. Okay. What do? Well, we use reminders, feedback, planning prompts, and they appear to improve chronic disease self-management. Most consistently, nudges also improve chronic disease self-management. But there is hardly any evidence that these interventions lead to improved disease control. So people behave a little bit better, but their disease doesn't improve. Maybe they don't act better enough or for enough time for it to make an impact on their health. And I want to use, I'll use this example and I'll talk about diabetes in a minute. So in only 1 of 4 studies of high or moderate quality, and as scientists, we look at the quality of the evidence in every study. So only 1 in 4 studies analyzing disease control outcomes, such as glycemic control, found that nudges had a significant positive effect for 1 intervention arm. So we love these interventions and they're cool and they're fun and they're beautiful, but are they effective? Not just in feeling good, but also in glycemic control, not so much. And when I focus on diabetes, out of 38 studies using various interventions like framing and reminders and gamification and everything that's so fun and cool, we see that studies on reminders and gamification were most likely to have an effect. What were the outcomes that they had? Medication adherence. It's great, right? Foot care, quality of life. What were the outcomes that they were less likely to have? Physical activity. It's grueling. You have to do it every single day. Go to the gym. I went to swim today. The water was cold. It's not fun. I did my kilometer nonetheless. But if you don't persist, You just don't see the outcomes. And if it's difficult, you don't persist. It's not always that fun. Diet, yeah, it's great fun to be on a diet. You show up at the Microsoft reactor and there's pizza and you can't have it. Let's see how much fun that is. So what else? Blood glucose monitoring, self-efficacy, which is the feeling that I can control my fate. And finally, last but not least, HA1C levels. And this is the hemoglobin that tests our sugar level, our blood sugar level. So if we're not influencing that, what have we accomplished? Really, we did great, cool interventions, but we haven't reached the holy grail of really improving people's diabetes. Where does this get us? It gets us to the understanding that chronic disease management is a complex problem. Some of you know this. Some of you know this because you're working on it. Some of you know this because you're working on it and you contacted me, and we'll be working together on making this better in multiple ways, in multiple domains, because one thing that you do may not be enough. You need to do multiple things and to engage people on multiple levels and to understand all the barriers that they're encountering in doing right by themselves and improving their own health. So behavioral economics needs to step up. We can't just say, let's do a nudge. It's great. It's not enough. And you'll be hearing about many things today that go beyond just let's do a nudge. So we need to step up in order to make a lasting difference in health. Keeping in mind that we always decide within a framework. There's always the choice architecture. There's always the structure. There's always the way in which we present the data. You are data scientists. When you give people data, you give it in a particular way. And this particular way determines how they'll understand it and how they'll interpret it. You're always influencing them. You're always doing that, even if you're unaware of that. Even if you say, I just want to be objective. I know, but you can't just be objective because anyway is influencing them. Libertarian paternalism is a framework within which Nudge was born. Libertarian means you have the freedom to say no. Paternalism means, like a good father, you say, you know, it's a good idea. Why don't you try it? That's libertarian paternalism. And it means you gently push people towards action that benefit them, and they can push back and say, leave me alone, I'm not interested. Is it legitimate to interfere? You can ask this question, and it arises the more we deal with interventions and the more intrusive we become. Is it legitimate to interfere? I honestly think we must interfere. I honestly think we had one tzaddik in the room. How many people did we have in the room? About 100, maybe more. Seriously? We all need help. Everyone needs help. Everyone needs to also be able to push help. So I think it's a must in this room full of really smart people doing data science and involved with health to think about how we can help people improve their own health. Thank you very much.
תודה רבה, טליה. אני מזכירה לכם שיש לנו עוד פאנל אחרי ההרצאות, אז אני מניחה שיש לכם הרבה מאוד שאלות שעולות, אז תשמרו אותם, ולצערי אנחנו חייבים לדלג להרצאה הבאה, כי אנחנו טיפה חורגים בזמן.